Man enough to return that shit to an upright state. Tempted about pushing it across and finishing the bridge. So to accomplish this goal, just like the movie, I'm gonna have to break free of the roots on this side, as you can see, and eventually make that bridge to the other side. Problem is, I don't know if I have the strength left to keep going. I really do want to get to the other side, but sometimes breaking the roots on this side is too hard. And then some of us will just not be deterred. We're going to do anything it takes. Perform any physical strength to show our mental toughness, to break free from the roots on this side and make it to the other side. Because if I'm on an easy path, it's definitely not my path. And on the other side of that bridge is all that success Booth Monkeys has waiting for us. Let's get it.
Hello, Internet. Mr. BPG here. And, well, getting a glimpse into the way I've been trying to make a final attempt at getting back into shape and exercising. Where we left off, we had the guys learning a lesson from Ed about life currency and kind of coming to the message I'm trying to get to. Here at the end of the story to the daughter, the character's story is coming to an end. Here they are excited to find their film, use that film to save their booth, maybe get a petition going, maybe explain to the management how important it is to have film in their world, that there are a lot of classics that are worth rewatching on film, that there's a market for that. And all the while, this movie does the job of showing the beauty of the behind the scenes of film, but also the kind of in its own way showing the reason why it needed to be shut down. You got a lot to say, Lola. You already had your dinner. You've already been outside 3 times. Why are you crying? We still have trouble communicating.
What you bite? Did you nibbin? Why you nibbin? Why you nibbin on me?
Going back to the script, we're still in story time, getting to the end of it right after the guys had just got back from checking out Ed's place. We go to the exterior, theater, night. The guys enter through the booth back door. Interior, we're at the booth tables already. Ryan walks in with Dre, and only they find Jenny has already found bullshit before them. She's standing next to the build-up tails with a full stack of 35mm reels next to her. Jenny, looking for this? Ryan, how did you find it? Jenny, I was a booth monkey myself, my last theater. You know, I smelled film every time I walked past these tables, so just figured it was up in the drop ceiling because that's where the smell was coming from. Ryan says, wow, she's amazing. And then Dre admits, well, we need that film. Jenny says, oh, really? How do you plan to name a profit for an empty theater with no projector? Probably meant to make a profit. How do you plan to make a profit? Empty theater, no projector. Ryan reminds her, we still have number 5 set up for film. Why not set up a digital theater next to it? We can have film special events and make them pay for themselves eventually. Jenny says, Ryan, it sounds like a great idea, but home office has decided that we're an all-digital theater. Ryan says, let me prove it to you with a date night, says Ryan. Jenny says, ha ha ha. Yeah, so Dre says, I started dating my job agent, and Ryan was going to set up this movie as a date for us. Ryan says, picture this. Take out some seats and replace them with love seats. Comfortable spots mixed in, make a home theater atmosphere. You know, maybe we'll have fresh food, cooked wings, says Dre. Referencing the chicken wings, says Ryan, since what they just had. What they just had at Ed's. Maybe we can sell liquor. Dre can bartend. I mean, in a couple of years I can, but okay. You sold me on the idea, says Jenny. I'll get in touch with the home office and lobby for it tomorrow. What a great idea. So, can your job agent come see the movie tonight? I want to get this movie put together so we can see how good of an editor you are. And see how good of an editor your mentor was. I always mess up some of the reading lines, but here basically is her playing a game, saying, hey, let's go ahead and play this movie. Let's see if you guys actually have something here. Ryan says, you like my idea? Jenny says, it sounds like something I would do. With you, I'll put the bullshit together if you go get some wings. Ryan spins around 180 degrees to leave for food, but he spins back around. Ryan, can Dre have his job back? No promises, says Jenny. Dre says, don't worry about me. I have a nice job setting up, and I'm still figuring out what my calling is, but this was a great place for to start my career, for things to change. And now that you can't, now I know you can't get comfortable. You must always be ready to adapt and overcome everything life throws at your way. Tonight's not about business. Tonight's a date night. And then we go to the exterior theater where Candace is introduced to Ryan and Jenny. They all enter the theater together. And Dre begins his voiceover again. Kind of cut back and cut into a montage where Dre says that it was a date night. It was a great night. Your mother joined us at the theater. And here we are in the theater where Ryan is cleaning up the theater. He washes the window to the booth using glass cleaner and then uses a newspaper to wipe it, which is something we used to do because newspaper, unlike most papers cleaning glass, doesn't leave streaks. And when you're playing the film projector through the window, it's known for collecting a lot of dust, but it is also known for needing a nice clear glass for you to be able to see through to see the movie. Streaks show up and look awful. Anyways, Candace and Jenny are sitting together at the center of the theater talking and eating popcorn. Girls stop talking. Jenny shares popcorn with Ryan, who sits next to her. Candace uses her cell phone to send a text to Dre. Interior film projector booth laters. Dre is looking at the film, codename Bullshit, and he's loading it into the projector for the final time. He looks at a text from Candace, and it is a bunch of symbols highlighted there. Call out to Candace, who speaks sometimes better in emojis than she does in symbols. Just like a certain dog speaks better in whining than just being quiet during the recording with your big tears on your face. You've already been outside a bunch of times. You've already had a bunch of food. What do you want? You hydro homie, you thirsty? Dre, back to voiceover. That was the last night I loaded the 35mm film print. It was sad I lost my job as a booth monkey. But I was falling in love with your mother. She believed in me. And at that time, that's all I needed. Interior theater day. Dre and Ryan are sitting next to each other. Candace and Jenny are sitting next to their guys. They all laugh at the screen. They find that magical place when you are with friends in a perfect temperature, room, watching a large screen with high-quality audio surround sound. At the back door, Candace drives away with Dre in his passenger seat. They wave goodbye at Jenny and Ryan, who are standing also at the back door together. Dre finishes his voiceover with, and that day we packed up the film projector and the digital age began. And we do a night-to-day transition of Jenny's office. Dre and Ryan sit across from Jenny, who are shaking hands. Jenny shaking her head no. Basically that visual symbol of, we tried, but we lost the film. Dre's voiceover continues. Corporate office liked our idea so much that they used it in other locations. They probably made millions of dollars turning theaters into Brooders and, making that home experience, but we didn't see any of that money. Exterior nursing home. Dre approaches the nursing home wearing his scrubs. He watches as an unconscious Mrs. White is wheeled out in a stretcher. She is put into the ambulance, and Dre watches the ambulance, noticing that even the ambulance has a now hiring sign on it. I did find my calling that day. Mrs. White, I went to the hospital. I never saw her again, though. I did find my calling. Exterior street day. Mary's voiceover jumps in to remind us that she's still there and says, "Did she die?" Trey says, nah. She's been planning her escape for years, saving money so that she could travel. I heard she paid the EMTs and then she eventually walked free. And then we see footage of Betty White stepping out of the ambulance in a boss jumpsuit. She puts on some baller sunglasses and walks away. Because, you know, when you're telling the stories to your daughter, no one ever really dies. They always just get away. Interior booth, series of dolly close-ups of booth equipment, all caps because I like to write camera directions, because as a director I think visually, as a writer I don't know how to express it well, but I try my best. Anyways, Dre in voiceover talk says, Ryan learned how to manage the fully automated booth. I kept working with your mom until we got married and, worked as a caregiver for her as she found me work. We had you and we lived happily ever after. And then Dre turns off the lights in the projector booth, fading to black. Interior bedroom night. Mary appears to be asleep in her bed when we see Candace Holder appearing in the doorway. Dre gives her a nod and then tries to sneak out, but Mary talks to him with her eyes closed. Mary says to him, Papa, I know this is a sad story, but it's still my favorite. I love this story because it's a time that I can't remember, but you and Mom were happy. Hearing that story always makes me happy. Good night, my daughter. I love you very much. I love you more, she says back. And Dre leaves the room as he gives Mary one last kiss. Shout out to my own daughter. When I was early in my career, every time I had to leave the house, she'd request of me one more kiss. And sometimes I'd be at the very bottom of the staircase, 3 stories up. She'd be at the top, calling me, asking me for just one more kiss before I had to leave. I'd run back upstairs just to say goodbye one more time. Because as a baby, we understood every time you leave, you don't know if you're coming back. You sure hope you are. You expect to, but it's kind of what this story is turning into. Because now we get to interior living room night. Dre puts The Simpsons on TV. He turns the TV, and it just happens to pop up at the end of an episode. If we could afford it, if we could license it, I like the one from Lisa's Substitute, where Lisa catches up at the end and he delivers the crucial line about the capitalist system. Not the one everyone knows, the "You are Lisa Simpson," but that line where he says,
That's the problem with being middle class. Anybody who really cares will abandon you for those who need it more.
I understand.
After that line, Candace enters the room again. She sits on the couch next to him. What a sad story are you putting in our daughter's head to sleep with? Or what sad story are you putting our daughter to sleep with, she says. Dre says, I'm just telling her about when we met. Candace says, such a sad story, because your life has all been downhill since then. Candace asks, why is it a sad story? Then Dre asks to it was the end of the Booth Monkeys. Oh yeah, she really does like that story. I guess so. Our world was different back then, you know? I guess she likes the adventures I went on and the things that I did. Candace says, each of those jobs you quit, in that time you almost saved the booth? Dre says, yeah, back then I just worked to do a job I liked doing was my goal. But I was incomplete. I didn't even know what I was missing until I met you. I've realized that, and now I know the real Candace. Aw. Dre says, now I'm closer to complete. Candace says, why are you only closer? Dre explains, life is perfectly balanced when you're able to get paid for what you love because you're good at what you do. And the world needs it. Candace says, I love it when you get philosophical. Dre says, back then, when I was a booth monkey, I was good at something that the world didn't need anymore. Now, I drive an ambulance. I'm closer to that best life, but I'm still not part of the union, and let's just say the industry isn't perfect. This is your sacrifice. This is your sacrifices, Candace, to get weekends together. This is how you earn your life currency, to live your good life. You have a profession. You have something you're passionate for. Helping people does seem like the right thing to do, says Dre. You have a good mission, strong values, and doing something the world needs. Thanks to your helm, says Dre. Seems to me like you're the hero here. I've just survived my journey. I love you, says Candace. I love you. You saw the best of me even when I was at my worst, I admit to Candace. They kiss and cuddle on the couch. I know why this is a sad story. I miss Ryan. You had a movie with him you have a movie night with him every week, and still insist on calling it date night. I love date night, says Dre. And then Dre takes out his little cell phone and begins looking at old photos of Candace with his daughter. He eventually gets back to Ray, and he decides he's going to text Ray, and he does the Professor X pose. But before he can make the text message, there's a screen flash, and we're back in the living room at night. Dre's asleep on the couch. Mary's asleep with him on his shoulder. The movie they were watching at the beginning of this movie was still playing, and Dre realizes everything that he had said as he recalculates himself into reality is he's alone on the couch having fallen asleep. Across from Candace is where we start to get into the sadder parts of the story, where the ending has just a bit of a twist, and we actually get into the reality of why I've been the way I've been, why I feel the way I feel, and hopefully soon be able to put an official ending to the story as we finally get to the other side of that river and try to decide if it was worth it to cross that path, to make that bridge.
In video games, it looks so easy. This is it. This is the movie. Smooth Monkeys is an honest look at the American workplace. The bullshit we put up with to go every day to our spots. To cross those rivers of being our best versions of ourselves. Hopefully telling a story of love from a parent to their child. Sharing a story of love to happy people. And just the love that is found from working together at some of these crazy ass jobs we do.
Thanks for watching. We'll be concluding this in the next episode when I find more storage space, I guess. I don't know where to go.